I come before you this morning with my Arctic blonde hair. I hope you recognize that that's how we should think of ourselves, right? We're still blondes. Our gray hair really is just Arctic blonde. I'm going to be 68 years old, so I come to you with some experience of being 55 and older, and I'm delighted to talk to peers who have an interest in being entrepreneurs. So I'm going to tell you some stories today that I hope will be valuable to you, but in particular, I'm going to leave you with some takeaways that certainly will help you in terms of your entrepreneurial endeavors. Let me first of all begin by telling you a quick story. I'm a fairly average guy, and I assume most of you are head and shoulders above who I am, but I have become successful. And as I look back now, I'm the chairman of the board of a major university with some 26,000 students, and I oversee then a $300 million budget for a state institution. But when I look back, I noticed that maybe that wasn't always the case. So when I went to high school, there were really two things that were on my mind. It was the pretty girls, and I wanted to play basketball. My education was somewhat secondary, or even farther down than that. It happens that my wife was the counselor at this high school a few years back, and she went into the vault to see my grades one day. Well, now, in our home, I have 6 children. They're all married now, and I have 16 grandchildren, but all of these 6 children, in order to drive the car, they had to have A's. They had to have A grades. So one day I get a phone call from my wife at school, and she said, "Alan, we need to have a chat. So when you get home, let's visit." So I walked into the kitchen and stood there, and I thought, boy, this is going to be interesting. She's got something she wants to tell me. And she said, "Alan, I've seen your grades, and you can't drive a car the rest of your life." So I have come up, I think somewhat like Jody, we have experienced life at its best, haven't we? We eventually get somewhere. So I am an entrepreneur, ladies and gentlemen. I'm also an angel investor. I'll tell you more about that momentarily. I'm also a venture capitalist. So in my life, I've invested in 40 companies, some $30 million. And as an angel investor, that money has gone into grow companies. I'm also then a venture capitalist, and I invest in what we call growth venture. And so far we've invested $52 million in 7 companies. And of those 7 companies, 3 have already had exits, totaling $2 billion in value. Now, so what I have learned in the course of being an average guy is there is a way to take products to market and to be successful. So I want you to know you can be just like me or better, average. You can eventually come up with a great idea, and eventually you can commercialize that. And there's great benefit in being an entrepreneur. I love this. I wake up every morning invigorated. I'm excited to go out and talk to customers and to work with people who have great ideas. I like being my own boss. I like the fulfillment that comes from it. I like the reward. There's certainly wealth associated with it. I like the recognition. I like all the things that entrepreneurs are able to achieve as they work with other people. So let me just give you, if I can, just a little bit of background on some of the things that have happened to me and some lessons learned that might be of value to you as well. So for the last 40 years, I've been an entrepreneur. And as Courtney mentioned, when I went to graduate school, the word entrepreneur actually was a dirty word, I think. And my professors would say to me, "What are you thinking, Alan? You should be working for Procter & Gamble." But I knew deep down inside of myself, I wasn't a corporate person. I was really more an individual who wanted to start and grow his or her own business. So I had day jobs, if you will, in various ways of earning an income. And let me describe to you, it's a little bit different than most people would think about this, but it will apply to you. I elected that I would always take a job where I could be the leader of the enterprise as quickly as possible. So I recognized it wasn't a good idea for me to go into corporate America to learn, because it would take so long for me to accomplish the education I desired. So fundamental was I would just take any job where I could quickly be the boss, quickly be the leader. The most interesting job of these during my career was I was president of a ballet company. My wife said, Alan, how is it that you could be a president of a ballet company? You've never even seen a ballet. Well, I'm a good sales guy, and I talked my way into running a very large dance company, a nationally known company, and but I quickly was at the top of the leadership ladder, and I had to learn very, very quickly what dance was about and how you go to market there and on and on and on. I had to learn how to raise money. I had to do all these fundamental things. And so I put all my energy and effort into that. But I got to be at the top. I got to be the leader. And without spending more time on that topic, I think I want you to think that entrepreneurs are leaders. You're the ones with the vision. You are the ones with the drive. And you're the ones that'll make something happen. So think of yourself every day as when you wake up, I'm the leader of this. I'm in charge, I'm gonna make it happen. Now, I want to just talk for a moment about these 10 companies I've started, and the first 5 were failures. You'd think after a while, of course, an average guy would figure this out, but it was always the same mistake. Every time. Is it Groundhog Day? Is that the one, the movie where we, yeah, so I'm Mr. Groundhog Day. Here's the principle I want to teach you. Every time I would come up with this wonderful, brilliant idea, it was a product or a service idea. And I would build it, and then I would go try and sell it. 5 failures in a row because I did that backwards. So here's the principle I would teach you. Yes, you have an idea, but what you want to do is talk to your prospective customers ahead of time and have them guide you. They already have some solution. They already have something that's a competitor. But you want to talk to these potential customers, go back to your lab, back to your basement, back to your garage, and kind of then do the next iteration of it, the next version of it, and then take it back to your customers again. How's this look, you say to them? Do you want me to do something different? Let's talk about what you would pay for it. So if I had you write down a takeaway today, it would be this. Go sell it first, come back and design it, then go build it, and then eventually sell it. So start with the idea you're going to sell this product before you go out and build it, before you take all the time and money into it. Now, there are certainly products where you can't do that. There's certainly things that require that you actually have to build the thing before you can sell it. But this concept is, for me, preeminent in your ability to be successful. Talk to your customers first, go back and build it. I'm going to tell you about a company that I founded that's quite large. It's a global business, and we are marketing and salespeople. So if you look at me, my expertise is for 50 years almost being a marketing sales executive. A large company out of Japan called Mitsubishi came to us, and this company is called MarketStar, and they said, Alan, we have developed here in Tokyo a new digital camera, and we'd like to have you and your folks sell it throughout the United States. I said to the president, we'd be happy to do that, but we do our research first. We're going to talk to retailers, and we're going to talk to customers. And then once we have that information, I'll come back and tell you what I think about the sale of your product. So we did our homework, we did our research, and we found out that in all of America, there would only be 14 stupid people who would buy this product. The president of Mitsubishi said to me, Alan, but we have 10,000 of these products to sell. I said, sir, we'll give it our best effort. We will not sell 10,000. We did find 14 stupid people, and so we concluded our business at that point in time with Mitsubishi and resigned the piece of business. And the president came back and said to me, why couldn't you sell it? I said, sir, it did not even match the competition. Your competitors are far better, and the price is better, and so on and so on. What were your engineers thinking? And he said, Alan, our culture in our particular plant it's driven by engineers. And the engineers just come up with these great ideas, And then our job is to take them to market. And I said, oh, brother, you got a problem here. And he said, well, would you come to Japan and explain this to my engineers? And I said, it's probably a waste of my time. He said, yes, matter of fact, it is a waste of your time, but it would be, I would feel better if you did come and tell them. I want to drive home that point. That you come up with a good idea, talk to your customers, talk to your customers, talk to your customers. And your odds of success will increase because you do. Now, when I look at a company as an angel investor or as a venture capitalist, I always look at the management to make sure this team, these leaders, have the wherewithal to take this product to market. So you happen to be the leaders, your management. And the thing that I would find fundamental to your success is that you know what in the world you're doing and you understand the marketplace in which you're going to take a product to market. So think for just a moment how foolish the board of directors or trustees were to hire me to run a dance company when I had never seen a ballet. That was not a good move on their part because I did not understand that space. So here's what I would suggest to you. Come up with a solution in a space, in a niche, in a market that you already know quite well. And you know it well enough to know the competition, you know those who might be part of the selling marketing process. You really do truly understand the customers. Now, it's possible for you to start something in an unknown space where you have no experience or knowledge whatsoever. I do see people who can succeed. But frankly, those who get it are the ones who've lived in the space for a long time and know it. Now, I find entrepreneurs who come out of a business and they already know that space. And now they come up with a creative idea. They can take that product to market much more easily and much more successfully because they've been living in that environment. Does that make sense to everybody? So know your market because you've been living in that market. Come up with a solution idea that's unique, has an advantage, and then you'll be safe. So just one of my fun mistakes, to get the concept driven home so you understand, know your customer. I came up with this idea with a high pressure device to squirt barnacles off the bottom of a boat. Now barnacles on the bottom of a boat tend to create a drag. The ship doesn't sail through the water simply, and it becomes an expense to the owners of boats because now they have more fuel to expand, etc. Well, I live in a desert state, and so, you know, I don't know zip diddly about boats in the ocean, but somehow I think I do. So I go down to San Diego with this device, and I've already, put a lot of money into preparing this particular product, and I say to this fellow down on a dock by a slip, we go under the boat, sir, and what we do is we spray off all of your barnacles. And he said, well, that's a stupid idea. And I said, well, what's so stupid about it? And he said, well, if you spray off the barnacles with this cool device you've got, it also takes the paint off, and therefore we have to lift the boat out of the water anyway to paint it. So, Mr. Hall, you've really not come up with a great solution. So $50,000 later, I came back and said to myself, boy, that was a stupid idea. I had not talked to the people who were involved in the boats. Now, what is it about me that I would make such a foolish decision? Okay, I'm getting smarter as I go along here. I'm getting smarter. But you see where I am? Am I driving home the point? Know your customer, know your market. Well, finally, on my 6th try, I went to my wife and I said, dear, I've got this great idea. And she says, I know you do, Alan. I know you've got another great idea. I've been living with you for a long time, boy. Now, I'm keeping my day job, so this is the third point I want you to understand. While I'm coming up with these absolutely revolutionary ideas, I am keeping my day job. I am running the ballet company. So at night and on the weekend, I'm playing with my ideas. Now, why am I doing that? I got 6 kids, probably a cat and dog. And I need to make sure that the needs of those people are met. So think about starting something a little bit while you might still be working, but if you're not, then put your full time into it. But that's how I did it at this age of 43 when I started company number 6. I had just gone through a failure of company number 5. And it was, again, we just didn't understand the market, and engineers wanted to make this product so perfect that we didn't get to market on time. But I saw an opportunity, and the opportunity was one I was living in. I understood the space, and it was about taking technology products to market. So I started a company called TempReps. And TempReps was a company that would go to technology companies, and we would say to them, generally startups, small companies, we will help take your product across the United States to all the retail stores or ma and pa little locations that sell technology. And we'll charge you for each time we go in and educate the owners of a business. This company immediately took off. I found customers who were very happy for us to be their marketing and sales teams. I was profitable almost immediately. Now, a couple of points, a couple of other data points for you. I needed money, and I didn't have a lot. My home was paid for. I had no loans. My cars were old, but they were paid for. My kids didn't know they were living in poverty. They do now. They found out later that their dad was taking them through poverty. But I had to second mortgage my house. So I went to my beloved wife of 43 years and I said, Jeannie, I need to second mortgage the house so I can have the cash. And she looked at me like, are you serious? You've had 5 failures. What are you thinking this 6th one will be good? I said, I think it will. I'm going to put my heart and soul into it. This woman went to the bank with me, put her name on the document. Had that failed, my family would have been living in a park down by the river eating government cheese. I worked my tail off. I was not going to let this business fail. My other point for you, you've got to be persistent. You cannot give up. Once you start down that trail, as Courtney has described it, and so has Jody, life is not easy. There are huge ups and downs. And the very first thing that would happen to me in this encounter was I had a customer in Canada we were helping roll out a new technology, a software. They owed me $50,000 and they wouldn't pay it. And back in that day, I would call them, they wouldn't answer. I'd try and send them a fax. The internet wasn't around. I said to my wife, I'm going to Canada. I don't have enough money to get a plane. I'll take the bus. I showed up at the man's office unannounced. And I said, he was somewhat shocked when I walked in the door. I said, I'm here to get my money. I'm not leaving until I've got the $50,000. Where is the softest seat in your office? Because I am sitting here until I get my money. Now, my wife is back home thinking to herself, I know he's going to be on the news at 10, and he's going to have his hands around the neck of that fellow. Well, the man knew I was serious. So we went to the bank to get a cashier's check, so I knew it would be good, and I got my way back home. That was a tipping point moment. Had I failed to collect that money, had I not had the courage to do what was the right thing to do, I would not be standing here today. As entrepreneurs, we must make it happen, no matter what the obstacles, no matter what the barriers that we're going to face. MarketStar continued to grow because I changed the name from TempReps. I was hiring college students to help me out. They would go out for a semester all across the country, come back, go to school, and then to avoid creditors and other things. No, I'm just teasing you. I changed the name to Technology Advancement Corporation because now we were representing various kinds of technologies, and I now had for the very first time full-time employees representing Hewlett-Packard, Lotus, and Microsoft. In time, Whirlpool came to me and said, Alan, we like so much what you do that we would like to have you represent all of our appliances. A company by the name of BlackBerry, the phone people came to me and said, Alan, we need help. We have a few sales in government and a few corporate accounts. Can you take our product to market? We took the BlackBerry to market, and it became a huge success. We know how to market. I know how to sell. I know exactly how to take a product to market. So MarketStar, we changed our name one more time. And today we're a global business covering most of the earth, marketing and selling for the 30 largest technology companies in the world, 6,000 employees, and last year we generated $8 billion in sales for those customers. What did I learn? I learned on test number 6, try number 6, to get it right. And so today I stand before you and knowing now I've had 4 others since, and they're all successful. And they're successful because of that one particular principle for me, is I know my market and I really take care of those customers. So let me just tell you a little bit more about MarketStar so you'll leave understanding kind of what we do, and then I want to shift into a couple of other things that will be helpful for you. Am I doing okay? Am I doing all right so far for you? Okay. So MarketStar is about understanding the customers and taking product to those customers through retail stores and through what we call value-added resellers worldwide. So we are in the streets, we're on the phone, we're on the internet, we're doing everything to represent Hewlett-Packard. And our quota this year is $2 billion in sales. So we have a lot on our plate in order to take care of that particular quota for the company. The reason I share that with you is one of the things I'm going to help you with, all you entrepreneurs, is that we'll help you figure out your market. We'll help you understand if you really have it nailed down or if you don't. And I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. So my expertise is in marketing and selling. Now, 13 years ago, there came a time when the company was very large, and I decided that I was ready for another entrepreneurial experience. I had become, at this point in time, just a manager of the business, and I don't like that. I like to be coming up with new things. So I sold the business, and I sold it for more money than you can imagine. And so I said to my wife, "Dear, you took an enormous risk. So I'm going to give you, how much money do you want? Dear, how much do you want so that you never have to worry about me again?" And so she gave me a number, and I said, "Dear, here it is. This is yours. It's yours. You would never have to divorce me to get the money because here it is." So ladies, I want you to know that a man who loves his wife was willing to give this girl who put her life on the line with her 6 kids what she needed so she wouldn't have to worry about me again. Is that a good thing I did? Yes. Yeah. So I'm still married to this girl, and she still knows I'm a risk-taking riverboat gambler. She has a pot of money. We decided that the other pots of money, we would just give it away. Because I recognize this. It's more of a spiritual thing for me, is that at the end of the day, I am a steward of money. I'm a manager of money. I think of it as God's blessing to me to use that money for certainly ourselves, for my family, to the degree we need to. But the surplus, the balance, should be used to bless the lives of people. Period. Now, I'm going to describe something interesting to you in a moment as I get to this topic. It is for me a fundamental way that we make wealth, and as that we can be successful as entrepreneurs. So I want you to think there's a scripture that says if we put God first in our lives, and then if we seek for riches, and we take those riches and we use it to bless the needy, the poor, that we will generate wealth. Now, the underpinning of that is we got to know our market, we got to work hard, there's business fundamentals there. But that God would bless us with wealth. Think of also a scripture that talks about the talents, where a certain manager, gentleman, gave 3 people some talents, and those talents then were, I think it was 10, 5, and 3, or whatever the numbers were. And these fellows went back and they sort of multiplied those talents. One did not, and the manager then gave them increased talents. So here's a principle I've learned in 40 years. It's the most interesting of all. When I do well with the business and I give it away, I make more money. Now, who ever heard of that? Oh, raise your hand if you've heard of that. It's an interesting concept, isn't it? It's about being smart. It's about managing money well. It's not about being profligate with it. But what I have found is this principle. By giving it away, I make more money. And then I give more money away. So my wife and I then said, with this other sum of money, we're going to do two things. One is we're going to establish a foundation called the Hall Foundation, and we then take that money, and every year we give lots of money away to the needy in the community. And it blesses the lives of those who are disadvantaged. And it works. I measure the number of people that the money helps each year. And so in this year, we just did our math, and we helped 106,000 families with food, housing, education, and medical care in our community. 106,000. So I want to double that, don't I? I want to keep it going. Now, the other pot of money, the last one I want to share with you, which is going to be for you, unless you're needy and I need to send you, to school, is I'm giving the money away to entrepreneurs. And I'm going to tell you just briefly about that. I still believe in America that we have the talent, that we have the ability and the drive to be the backbone of our economy, and we need it, as has been described, that I'm willing to give entrepreneurs money as a gift, not a grant. It's a grant. It's not a loan, and it's not equity, to spur people on to come up with good ideas, to build their companies and hire people. So think of what I'm doing as a stimulus, non-government, personal stimulus to keep America growing and prospering. So I have to tell you this story. I've got a neighbor who is educated, highly educated. He has an MBA, and he's worked for some major companies, but he lost his job, and he can't find work. And so he has 3 jobs. In the morning, he delivers a local newspaper. In the afternoon, he tries to do a little outsourced accounting. And at night, he's the manager of a convenience store. So in effect, he has 3 jobs, and I don't know when he sleeps. I'm in a public meeting with him one day where I'm presiding at this meeting, and he's sort of conducting the meeting for me. He gets up and he announces everything that's going to take place, and then just before the speakers start, he sits back down, and he's asleep for 45 minutes. I'm just hoping he doesn't drool on me. I don't want to wake him up because I recognize the poor guy hasn't had any sleep. His family is struggling. The kids are feeling stressed, as is his wife. And I thought, as the meeting came to an end, I nudged him and said, it's time to wrap this up, which he did. I immediately went home and I said to my wife, Jeannie, we have 40 companies that I've invested in. I'm calling one of the entrepreneurs tonight, and I'm saying, I want you to hire Phil. I want you to give him a good job, and I will give you the money for his salary so that he has one job, and that's with you. He accepted the offer, and this fellow now has been working for about a year, very successfully. The company's growing, and he's got a job. So what I look at is I look at America and I say, how many are like Phil? How many have we got out there that are unemployed, underemployed, or just don't know where they're going? And they have family responsibilities. They've got to pay their rent. They've got to pay the mortgage. They've got to pay for the food and gas. So here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to link in with people like the good folks at the Kauffman and AARP and everyone that I can, where we can help America grow through entrepreneurs like you. You are the backbone. You are the ones that will hire the next employee. It's not big business, and it's not so much the government, is it? The burden's on us. So how can I get you off your couch? How can I get you to step forward and take the risk? I'll give you some money. I'm proposing to you that what I've been doing for the last 6 years is I have a competition. We've just wrapped one up where I've given away $1 million to entrepreneurs who I think are the ones who will grow their businesses and hire people. As a matter of fact, I surveyed, there were 150 companies that were part of this competition. And they came back and said, Alan, we will, within 3 years, have hired over 5,000 people. Boy, music to my ears. So I want you to go to this website, www.growam, G-R-O-W-A-M, which stands for Grow America, a competition that will unroll across the United States in January, so it's not ready to launch for you nationally yet. We've been doing this now in a state where we piloted it for the last 6 years, where you can come and seek money. Most of you won't get the money because you'll have to have a great plan, but we will have taught you how to put a plan together, how to make that a viable business, and we will connect you to banks, angels, venture capitalists, or whoever relative to you getting cash, to you getting some money. I've got an ebook coming out shortly, which will be the sources of money that you can find to help you grow your business. As I visit with entrepreneurs, they have 4 big things they always want. Number 1 is money. Number 2 is they want to understand the market. Number 3 is they need mentors. And number 4 is they need networking events, as we've heard. We will have an online solution for you where you can come. It's all free to you. There's no cost to you whatsoever, where we will help you in our unique way for you to drive your business forward and be successful. And I will measure your success by how many employees you hire. Our goal this coming year is to help 100,000 businesses, and hopefully over the next number of years they hire at least 10. And if they do, that's 1 million people now working. It's 1 million people like Phil who no longer have to have 3 jobs or are sitting home on their couch wondering what they're next going to do. Here's what I do know is in the last 30 years in America, entrepreneurs created 40 million new jobs. 40 million. And so, in my way of thinking, that's the potential for us going forward. You good folks are the ones that will hire these people in the future. And we want to do everything in our power to help you, almost in a philanthropic way, so that you can make sure that America does have jobs. Let me tell you where I'm headed from here, because if you like what I'm talking about, we want you to come and experience our brand, if you will, of helping America. So you can also go to another website. Write this one down. It's really my name. So it's www.alane, A-L-A-N-E, initial, H-A-L-L.com. On this website, I have written a number of ebooks that will help you in terms primarily of hiring the right people. So once you're up and running, I want you to hire people, but I want you to hire the right ones, if you will. So I've got the 7 C's of how you hire people. And I've learned to do it better. Over the course of time, I made a lot of mistakes when I hired people that hurt the business. So this little ebook that's free, you can download it. It has some wonderful videos and content in it. It will help you do a better job of hiring people when you start to do that. There are other things in there that will be interesting to you, like the characteristics of successful entrepreneurs. So I invite you to go to the website, and you'll be able to see all the other things that we're working on that might be of some value to you. Lastly, if you'd like to be in touch with me, I'll give you my personal email address, and it's ahall@marketstar.com. ahall@marketstar.com. Cheryl. Oh, thank you. Yes, this will be interesting for you. So Forbes magazine has asked me to write a weekly column on entrepreneurship. So if you go to Forbes.com, so it's online, you can subscribe to that. Come and look for me, Alan Hall, on Forbes.com, and you can then read each week articles I write that pertain to this whole business of entrepreneurship. So that's a fun thing for me to do on a weekly basis, and we're helping people to kind of identify some of the key characteristics of being successful in that regard. Thanks, Cheryl. So let me just talk with you about the next steps. And I'm driven. I'm an entrepreneur, right? I'm a riverboat gambler. So every morning when I get up, I got to do something. So here's where I'm headed. We're going to do the United States first, Grow America. Now guess what's next? Grow World. I got to come up with a good name, but we have already launched that in China. So I've got Grow China underway in the city of Shanghai. And it's interesting for you to note that they have an employment problem. They let people retire at 55, and when I travel around China, they're all sitting on a park bench playing checkers or something, but they're not working. And the communist government has an issue now of how they're going to take care of all these baby boomers who are retiring when they've had a one-child per couple policy. The math doesn't line up for China to figure out how to take care of their aging population, since they eliminated those who would advance their income in the future, right? So we started a competition at Shanghai Normal University. 500 Chinese students showed up to figure out how they can be entrepreneurs. Talking to the Communist Party, I said to them, you will allow this? And they said, of course, because entrepreneurs will be the ones that hire people, right? And I said, that's right. And oh, by the way, Alan, China has for thousands of years been entrepreneurial. We're merchants. We know how to do this. We know how to sell. We know how to make and sell. Now, why would I do China? Well, number one, they need it. So this last weekend, I had 4 Communist Party leaders, a general, the head of the Communist Party, the head of Bao Steel, and one other, the editor of a newspaper, spend 4 days with me talking about taking Grow China across all the universities of China, and then eventually helping the Chinese civilians, if you will, the older population, start jobs. In a way, China has to be stable. That government recognizes if they have anarchy because people are out of work, it's not good for the government, is it? It's not good for America if they've got turmoil. We need to make sure across the world that countries are in a position where they have their people employed and they're happy, satisfied folks. So we'll take this program across the earth, and we'll do it all basically electronically with some events sprinkled in from time to time in those areas. But America is the one that should lead the world in entrepreneurship, and I'm hoping that you will get that done. Now, the last thing I want to offer to you is this. When I look at the characteristics of an entrepreneur, there is one singular thing that stands out for me, and it is this. You got to be able to sell. If you can't sell your service or your product to a customer, you ain't going very far. You've got to have the ability to sell. Now, some of you may look at that and say, well, I'm a little, that's daunting. I don't know if I could do that. I may fear talking to a customer. Well, if you feel that way, then don't start a business or figure out how you can get that courage to do that, but you've got to sell. So here's an interesting little tidbit for you that'll help you. I've endowed a chair at a university that will be known as the Hall Center for Sales Excellence. This university is in a position to provide all of the resources that you need to understand the selling process of how to do it, to make it so it's simple, to make it so it's something that's enjoyable. And beginning next year, this will be a resource available to you online where you can come in and basically take a class, certify yourself, and go through the steps to be educated on how to do that. So what I leave you with today is the knowledge that that's going to happen, and when it does, if you'll send me your email, I'll shoot you the information about how to come and engage in this Center of Sales Excellence to help you so that you can advance your cause. Now, what I wanted to leave you with today were some tools, some resources, some things that I know will help you. We're blessed to have in America the Kauffman Foundation and the tools that are available there and all the other wonderful providers that help entrepreneurship. We just hope to be one of the threads in the fabric of America's entrepreneur program where we can at least add to this overall program and make it successful for all of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention. I hope this has been helpful and successful. Have I done all right? I do a good job for you? Now you can see I'm a little bit of a crazy, right? But you know, crazy guys sometimes succeed and average people can win as well. So do any of you have any particular questions you'd like to? Yes, ma'am.
What's the university affiliation?
It's Weber State University.
When somebody asks you a question, would you repeat it because a lot of people get.
She asked the university in terms of where this technical or sales information. Weber State University. Yes, ma'am.
I have a son in China who would be interested if you looked up from China. How would I?
She has a son in China, like to get connected with what we're doing. If you'll just send me to Alan or ahall@markstar.com or even on www.alanehall.com, you can contact me there and we'll push back to him and let him know. What city's he in?
It's in Shaman City,
Okay.
South.
Okay, be happy to help him.
And it's fluent in Chinese, so he wants to visit.
I'm not fluent Chinese, and you know, an interesting thing, we have all these students now who we're corresponding with. They're going to the Forbes articles, and I asked them, do you want me to translate these into English or Chinese for you? And they said, no, we can read English. So even sitting here this morning, I got a request out of China, would I send the students my story that I just told you? So I hope you all made notes so I can do it again. Other questions? Well, thank you very much.
You know, I met Alan a little over a month ago, and we are kindred spirits of sorts. I set up a consulting firm 43 years ago, and I found it to be a really good trip. Now, I hadn't listened to Alan before I did that because I really didn't know anything about how to market and sell a service. And so I would tell people about my skills and abilities, and they really didn't care. And so I talked with some of my marketing friends. I wished I'd known Alan at the time. And I learned that what you had to do was to figure out what were the problems of the companies you were trying to sell to, and then talk about how you could help them to deal with them. And then, again, Alan's a little bit ahead of me. He has 6 children. I only have 5. He has 16 grandchildren. I only have 12. And so then the family started to eat again. So you have to figure out how to market and sell a product or a service. As Alan said, it's really important.